Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. Lots to talk about. Frederica Wilson in the news. She's the congressional black circus clown down in Florida who says things like, I've done a lot for this community. And it always cracks me up when people believe that they've done so much. Look, have we as an organization, the Black Sphere organization, my team, gotten kids adopted, helped them with their sports programs, etc.? The answer is yes. But you know what? No matter what we do, it isn't enough. And whatever commitment you're making, congratulations. Good for you. It was funny. She said something like, I'm a congresswoman. General Kelly needs to apologize to my people because that, no, he doesn't need to apologize to your people. You should be apologizing to your people for using the death of a Green Beret for your own political gain. I'm a rock star. It's amazing to me. We have a clip. It's 9 minutes. We're not going to play the whole thing. But Joy Reid, I just want to play the setup and I want to play the ending of that at some point during the broadcast and let you guys hear just how this media treats everything that President Trump does. This is a man who took time out of his day to call a grieving widow to say to her, we appreciate the sacrifice your husband makes. And look at what they've done. This is the type of thing that the left does. They are so caught up on racism. Oh, he did it because the man's black. Well, what about the black dude? That the lady accepted it? That she thought the man was as gracious as could be, a black woman. Loses her husband. He calls her up. They have a great conversation. What about that? Is that racial too? It's amazing, folks, the time we live in. But you know what? This is good news. You're saying, Kevin, what are you talking about is good news? It's good news that the left try to make every single thing racist. It's amazing news. They talk about when do you not hear racist, white supremacist, KKK, misogynist, Islamophobic, homophobic? You are none of those things. Don't misunderstand me. In the conservative ranks, yeah, there's a person here or there. Let me tell you something. The racism, all of these things are anecdotal at best in America. This country represents none of this. If there's any overwhelming racism, misogyny, whatever bashing that's happening in America, I suggest the left need look no further than their mirrors. Weinstein is a poster child for leftist men, but they pretend Trump is the problem. The left blame conservative men for all the ills of women, when in fact the majority of the problems that women face come from women themselves. Oh, we're going to preach today and we're going to talk truth. The majority of the problems facing the black community today come from the black community themselves, not from anybody else. There is no boogeyman targeting women. There is no boogeyman targeting black folks. The only boogeyman that exists is the boogeyman that the left plants in people's brains like an implant. And then they hope that it infuses into the DNA because they only want a certain number of people to be elites, and they structure it. When I talk about structural elitism, they talk about structural or institutional racism all the time. Nobody talks about institutional elitism. There's institutional elitism with the Hillary Clintons and the Barack Obamas who give their children a leg up over yours in every possible turn. They give their portfolios a leg up over yours at every possible turn. They give their retirement a leg up over yours at every possible turn. And then they criticize you who go out and make a living. What has Barack Obama delivered to this country that's tangible? Name me one thing. Name me one thing that Bill Clinton has done that's tangible to this country. Other than holding public office, and don't misunderstand me. If you hold public office and you treat it with respect, I got nothing but respect for you. But when you enrich yourself in public office, the Barack Obama was worth a few $100,000 at best when he became president because some white dude wrote his book and he left there worth millions. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton left the White House worth millions. These are people that were upper middle class at best ever in their lives. Now they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions, if not more, for the Obamas. I don't know what they're worth, but the Clintons are worth hundreds of millions of dollars for doing what? What did they produce? Oh, well, we're saving the world. Can you save the world and not be worth $200 million? I'm just curious. Can you do what you do for Haiti and all the other things and not have a net worth of hundreds of millions of dollars? Is that possible in America? Will somebody help me with this? That they want to chastise you. They want to bring up everything's racial. They want to use Frederica Wilson to try to paint Donald Trump and his administration as some anti-black this. No, what Donald Trump and his administration are is anti-idiot. That's what they are. And Frederica Wilson is an idiot. And she's talking about, you know what she's, oh, they didn't tell me. I'm over here trying to get these girls freed from Boko Haram, and we're trying to fight against, terrorism in Nigeria. Really? So while your constituents in America suffer, you are dealing with Africa? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Frederica? I'll play this clip. You guys will get it. It's amazing to me, folks. Weinstein, going back to him, he is representative of the typical leftist male, and women want to blame us because I only make 72 cents out of $1. It's not our fault. It's not our fault at all. It's Weinstein's fault and the people like him. It's women's problem that they've got the problems that they have. Be mad at me. If these leftist women want to be mad, let me tell you something. A conservative woman knows. She knows she can do anything she wants to do, be anything she wants to be. She's surrounded by men who want nothing but her success. Leftist men don't want that. They want to find out what they can get from you, what's to their advantage. Weinstein wouldn't exist if there weren't willing women. Who created these willing women? Women willing to be on the casting couch so they can get a movie, get ahead, get a little leg up. Pardon the pun. The women's movement created them. We didn't create them. We don't demand anything. I don't care if a woman come in for an interview. Can you interview for your job based on your credentials? The women's movement said, you're sexually free. Do what you want. If it means getting ahead, get ahead. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The biggest story in the news today, the biggest, is undoubtedly the Uranium One story. It should be soaking up all the atmosphere. And there's just no doubt that this involves corruption in our government at the highest level during the time of Barack Obama. Robert Mueller, who's investigating Donald Trump and his satellites, if you will, on supposed corruption in the deal with the Russians, has no reason to be involved in this, none whatsoever. In fact, he should recuse himself because he was a person who was involved in the Uranium One deal at the time. Everything leads back to the Clintons, the Obama administration, and all of the crooks within. James Comey, you name it. We should be consumed with this as a nation. The media should be all over this. I'll ask you this. If any of this involved Donald Trump, what level of coverage do you think it would be getting? 3 major networks did not even mention the Uranium One coverage of the coverage of this story. The 3 major networks. It's anecdotal at best on the left. Huge. Look, folks, we compare stuff to Watergate and all these other things. This is big. These are people who got $145 million went back to the Crooked Clinton Foundation from the Russians as this deal is going down. Hillary Clinton is Secretary of State. Bill Clinton's negotiating it, setting up private meetings, giving speeches in Russia, and they can't find any connection between the Democrats and Russia. But Paul Manafort maybe did a deal with the Ukraine. It's with Ukraine at some point, and suddenly, that's tied to it's to the level of unbelievability when it comes to discussing these clowns on the left. It boggles the mind. I mean, how much more information do you need? They've reopened an investigation of Podesta. They need to reopen an investigation into the Clinton administration, and hopefully Sessions will do this. But we're at a point in this country where you can't even get the absolute honest truth out because somebody on the left is fighting you. This Frederica Wilson thing is nothing more than a distraction from what should be talked about. The NFL kneeling thing is nothing more than a distraction than from what we should be talking about. And I'll tell you something else. The other thing they don't want you to hear is they don't want you to hear about how Donald Trump's doing in the market, the economy. Look, here's the good news. The good news is no matter what these clowns do, the truth is out there. People are sick of it. I said in a previous segment, they use racist, they use homophobe, they use misogynist to the point where it has no meaning anymore. You're a racist. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. How many times, and I'll use me as an example, can you call me Uncle Tom before it finally loses its sting? I'll be honest with you, it's never hurt me. I've never cared. But how many times can you be called that before you finally go, look, enough is enough? It doesn't even bother me. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't impact me at all. Say whatever you want. I was fortunate. I got advice very early on from a very good friend of mine. And he said to me, you got to be tough. He says, you are. It's in your nature. But he says, I'm telling you right now, you have to make a decision that you are not going to worry about what people say or what. And he goes, the quicker you're able to do that and have it be real, register with you. Not say it and it just be words, but mean it. He goes, the more likely you are to be successful at what you do. He said, because if you don't do that, you're going to always have this soft spot, and it's going to be poked at until the left gets you. And so I said to myself then and there, I won't be bothered by that. I would read comments and fire back, but inside of me, I'd be like, man, I can't believe you folks can't see what that I'm right on this. I would want to rationalize. People ask me now, why do you fire back so hard to the left? I go, because I can't stand them. When they come at me in a particular way, I don't have a soft spot in my heart for any of them with respect to that, because they're so wrong, and they won't even look. I've said to many of these leftists, if you want to have a discussion with me about my views, I'm happy to do that. But when the first part of your message is use Uncle Tom, sell out, MF, black, this, that, if it's tool of the white man, here's what I don't like about you. Okay, so you want to have a discussion, huh? All right, then. You blankety blank, 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 piece of crap, blankety blank, blank, blank. How about that? And then, the very first thing they tell me, why you got to be so mean and mean-spirited? And I go, well, let's just go back and review what you said about me. I had this very same discussion with a guy, calls me an Uncle Tom, tool of the white man, blah, the normal stuff. And so I told him, I said, you're the disingenuous piece of crap who works for a white guy, goes there kissing butt by day, and then goes home and plays, Uncle Tom man by night. And I didn't say that, but that's essentially it. I go, you get out in public and you smile in white people's faces. You act like you don't like them, and you do. And then you go home and try to play militant to all your ethnocentric racist friends and family, who, by the way, look at you like you're a clown anyway, because they know you. Guy's got African art all over his avatar. He's Mr. Africa. Doesn't know jack about Africa. Anyway, and then have the nerve to say I'm the one selling out. Look, I treat people the same way. I don't care who you are. I treat you the same identical way, regardless of color, regardless of gender, you name it. I treat you the same. But I'm looking at these clowns, and they're the distractions from what we should be talking about. Even Jimmy Carter came out, and Jimmy Carter said, look, I haven't seen anything close to this in how the media treats a president. Nothing close. This is, he didn't say this, but this is what he was saying. It is intolerable what you guys are doing to this man. It's intolerable. You should be ashamed of yourselves. That's what Jimmy Carter's saying. And this is a guy that's got no skin in the game. In fact, Jimmy Carter's built his reputation on being, Habitat for Humanity and all this, and the left now love him. And even he is finally saying, you know what? This is beyond the pale. The fact that Carter recognizes this and is willing to come out publicly and say this. Look, we don't need Carter to come out and tell us what we already know. It just reinforces the point that even a hardcore leftist like him, who watched what happened with Barack Obama, where everything was wine and roses, and then he sees the way Donald Trump gets treated, and he says, look, I was president. I understand fair and unfair, but this is worse than anything, speaks volumes. I want to talk more about this Frederica Wilson story, because there's a lot more to it than you know, and I'll explain it with Joy Reid's clip.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Yesterday, the family of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, including his childhood sweetheart, his wife Maisha, laid their Green Beret to rest in a ceremony in Cooper City, Florida. The 25-year-old was one of 4 Special Forces soldiers killed in an ambush in Niger on October 4th, under circumstances that are still murky and under investigation. Sergeant Johnson was remembered by friends and family as a young man whose friends nicknamed him the Wheelie King for his love of riding bikes, and whom his staff sergeant described as a man who always put his family first. Among the speakers at his funeral was Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. And while she was helping to eulogize Sergeant Johnson, Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief, was at one of his golf courses where the Secret Service pays him to protect him at taxpayer expense. And he was tweeting insults at the Congresswoman and the Democratic Party.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. That was Joy Reid's intro on the story about a Green Beret. What's funny about that intro, interestingly funny, is that Well, it's not. I mean, it's humorous. But what are you guys looking at me for? I'm trying to explain it. It's humorous in the sense that it's so one-sided. It's so slanted. Now, look, Joy Reid's a leftist. I get it. But this idea that while this funeral was going on, the president was doing something on his off time, playing golf. And then she says the Secret Service is paying him. How's the Secret Service paying him? I mean, do you even read? It's funny that they put this stuff in a teleprompter and these trained monkeys just read it. Yeah, that's what Joy Reid is. She's just a trained monkey. And some leftist wrote this, and she probably gave some input and didn't even look at it for, is it factually correct? It's completely, even if you go on opinion, fine, write what you want about the president, but it's factually incorrect to say that the Secret Service is paying the president to be there. What's he talking about? But all the implications of he was golfing while this funeral was going on. Let me tell you, when Obama was golfing, there was a funeral going on somewhere. There was something devastating going on somewhere. When Barack Obama was partying with Beyonce, let me tell you what was happening. 4 Americans were being killed in Benghazi. Do you think Joy Reid is going to look at that? Just the framing of these arguments is enough to make you go, seriously? But it gets worse. She brings this lady on, and all of this is a distraction because it's now Frederica Wilson has been wronged. The left, what's funny, when they make a lie, when they create a lie, set a narrative, a fake news narrative, they go all out. The president disrespected this woman's husband. Because sure, Donald Trump hasn't made that phone call enough times. He obviously doesn't care about the military. We know this from his actions, right? Not. So he makes a phone call to a military widow and says something disrespectful. Maybe, just maybe, people are hearing what they want to hear. Maybe, just maybe, Barack Obama could have said identically what Donald Trump said, and Frederica Wilson would be lauding the man. I'm just guessing. Maybe they wanted to hear where Donald Trump is saying, your husband made the choice to make the ultimate sacrifice by signing up for this and gave his life. You want to hear that as a negative. He's disrespecting my husband. Because, let me tell you something. Black folks in this country have been taught to hear, to see, to feel, whatever emotions do we have, touch, that everything is racist. Everything. The first 2 segments that I've talked about today in this broadcast has been around racism, the cry of racism for everything. Donald Trump going after football players, taking a knee. It's because it's racist. No, it's because it's un-American. It's that simple. But see, all this stuff is going to work against him. Frederica Wilson comes on. I'm not even going to play the clip. I'm going to play one last piece of it when we get a little further on here after I've explained some other stuff. But she comes on to talk about all the work she's done in Africa. We need to play that part. So let's get that clip.
And I want people to understand what is actually happening in Africa and try to connect the dots, because I think this is going to be this administration's Benghazi. This is going to be Trump's Benghazi, Trump's Niger. And they need to concentrate on what happened, and what is happening.
Let's stop it there because I want to get into the irony of her saying that this will be Trump's Benghazi, which means that what? He gets away with it? Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That was Representative Frederica Wilson saying that Niger is going to be Trump's Benghazi. How so? How so? Let me. The backdrop of this is they sent these troops over to help find the criminals, Boko Haram, the terrorist group that's an Al-Qaeda based or is Islamic based, that's kidnapping Christian kids, killing them, and doing all kinds of unthinkable tragedies in Nigeria. And so that is going to be Trump's Waterloo. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. So she and Alcee Hastings, another congressional black circus clown, are trying to get to the bottom of it. So we've got our next thing that the left, they're setting you up. Here's going to be the next scandal. And Trump's looking at it like, look, military does what it does. We've deployed these troops. These troops understand the risk, and 4 people died. Do you think he isn't concerned about it? Well, here's what's interesting about the people who died. They were troops. These weren't consulate people. These weren't people in harm's way that Donald Trump neglected. These are troops. And the biggest issue for these ethnocentric racists is, well, how did he end up a mile away from his people? Yeah, let's get to the bottom of it. But let me tell you something. It isn't because his fellow soldiers went, you know what? He's black. Let's leave him a mile away. And as they would say with Michael Brown, they left that boy body out there for 4 hours in the sun. That's what they want you to believe, is that there's some big conspiracy now in the military to cover up the racism rampant in the military. By the way, that would be the same racism that he inherited from Barack Obama, would it not? God, these people are incorrigible. That's the backdrop. So watch when I tell you, this thing will shift from the Russians, the witch hunt of Trump, to Niger, which I got to tell you, I love the fact that Niger is missing one G, because boy, that sticks in the psyche of the left. But then I want to finish this. I'm not even going to play the rest of the stuff where she's talking about the controversy, because the biggest controversy of everything that she said is the fact that she mentions, I'm focused on Africa. Members of the Congressional Black Circus are focused on Africa, dealings in Africa. I dare you to do this. I dare you to go look at the record of any member of the Congressional Black Caucus during the time that they've been in office, decades, most of them. Go look at District 30 for Eddie Bernice Johnson. We played something from her the other day where she was talking about women, the women's movement, feminism, and how women can avoid the Weinstein situations. And by the way, I agreed with her. But I want you to go look at the record of her area of Dallas and how it is in comparison to where it was when she took over. If it weren't for gerrymandering, you would see the worst situation in history when you go look at these blacks and where they rule. Here's what they do to gerrymander. They will take, like in Dallas, using that as an example, they've put a little finger into the gay area, an area called Oak Lawn, and gave that over to Eddie Bernice Johnson. Because if she was only voted in the area where she does where there's predominantly black and where they vote her in, it would look like hell. And that's true of practically every one of these Congressional Black Circus clowns. Wherever they rule, you know it's got the highest crime rate, it's got the worst schools, it has the fewest black businesses, it has the worst housing, the lowest per capita income of the city. I could go on. Highest teenage pregnancy, highest high school dropout rates, and on and on. It's the worst in the city, period. It's worse than the Hispanics. It's certainly worse than the Asians. And it's worse than the whites. And you can be guaranteed the majority of their the constituents are black. It'll be 70%, 80% black, and they'll do 20% in a nice area. They will. You should look at the fingers that it isn't like a square map. They finger in the good neighborhoods to balance out how bad it is in their neighborhoods. They will take over a Jewish neighborhood or a predominantly white neighborhood, but never more than 20-25% of the people. That's how they do it. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
She's very knowledgeable on this subject, and she's a hawk on this issue. So for her to pretend like, well, I don't really know what was going on, I was not involved, just stretches credulity. And that's one of the reasons we need to have an investigation. And really, to this point, Tucker, we have not had a congressional hearing on this. Here's the bottom line. As this deal was coming for approval in 2010, the Clinton Foundation received from 9 shareholders in this uranium company that was sold to the Russians. 9 of them, all of a sudden, decided they were going to donate large amounts of money to the Clinton Foundation, more than $145 million. And by the way, a lot of those donations were never declared publicly by the Clintons. Right. They were hidden.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Nothing to see here. Uranium One tied to the Clintons, tied to Obama, tied to your national security. Treasonous activities. Oh, my goodness. KJRadio.com. 844-551-8255 if you want to chime in. Treasonous. Ask yourself a very simple question. I asked it earlier in the broadcast. If Donald Trump had anything close to this, what would be happening? First of all, let me answer this question for you. It was rhetorical. I didn't really want you to answer. I wanted you to answer in your own minds. But you know what's going to happen here, right? You know where I'm headed. First of all, you would be mad if you knew that Donald Trump did a deal like this. You, as conservatives, would say, wow, he pulled one over on us. We didn't know he was this crooked. How in the world did he have this type of a connection to the Russians? Maybe he did influence it. We would revolt, and rightfully so. 20% of our uranium production is now in the hands of the person that the left have told us is the worst enemy we could have. Forget China, forget Iran, forget North Korea. They have told us that dealing with Putin is the worst thing we can do. Am I right or am I wrong? And what do? They deal with Putin and they give him the precious resource that will allow countries to do thermonuclear war, to perform thermonuclear war against the United States of America, to the worst guy on the planet. But they did it, not Trump. So the first thing that would happen is you and I would revolt. We'd say, how could you possibly do this, Donald Trump? Are you kidding? We trusted that you did not have any dealings with the Russians, and you have dealings with the Russians. We would be mad. And the second thing is, you can bet that Donald Trump would be impeached. He'd be out of office. We would be behind him. We would be saying, oh my gosh. And of course, the Republican Party would be in triage, and the Democrats would be celebrating. Mike Pence would be your president. And of course, Mike Pence would turn on Donald Trump. He would say, I had no idea this was happening, and we're going to prosecute this to the fullest extent of the law, and there will be no pardons for Donald Trump. And he'd be right. And the Republicans, that the rhinos Paul Ryan would be, oh my gosh, this is worse than we thought. And all these guys would be jumping on with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and Harry Reid would come out of the woodwork, and Hillary Clinton would say, see, I told you, I should have been president. It shouldn't have happened. If we'd been doing this at the Clinton Foundation, I'd be in jail. People should be arrested for this type of thing. And they would be telling you how bad it should be and the type of penalties that should be waged against anyone who would do such an egregious thing against the nation. But they did it. So what do you want them to do? Come on, boys and girls. But you know, all you got to do is flip it. Donald Trump, there'd be outcries to get this man out. There would be nothing Donald Trump could tweet. There'd be nothing he could say in the media. He would be ostracized. His career in politics would be over. But Donald Trump didn't do that. No, it was Hillary Clinton and her team that did it, and Barack Obama was complicit. And if the outrage that they would be showing against Donald Trump, if they showed 1/1000th of the outrage against this towards Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, those two would be in prison, because the level of outrage that would be leveled against Donald Trump would be, if you think they're beating up on him in the media now, let him have done what Hillary Clinton did. Even by default, let Paul Manafort or Donald Trump Jr. or anybody that they've looked at for this, let any of them have done anything close, and by proxy, Donald Trump would be feeling the shrapnel. He'd be part of the nuclear blast zone of whomever had done it. But as I say, he didn't do it. It was them. So what do the left do? They don't talk about it. They tell you, Donald Trump's a racist. Did you see what he did to that Green Beret who died? That anti-military, anti-American, non-military, budget increasing, hate the military Donald Trump, who never does fundraisers or anything pro-military. You've seen him in action. Oh, wait a minute. I'm talking about Barack Obama. I'm sorry. But they want to convince you that Donald Trump is the person who called a widow of a Green Beret and treated her with disrespect, disrespected her husband. Forget the evidence of all the other people that Donald Trump's called, where he says, you know what, I'll take time out and call. Forget the evidence that Barack Obama didn't call, because none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the narrative that Donald Trump hates the military. He's anti-black. He's racist. And he disrespected that woman. Why? Because a woman who hates him by the name of Frederica Wilson said it. That's why you should believe it. Hands up, don't shoot. and Donald Trump came up to that widow and he shot her point blank. He shot her point blank in her head. And that widow was saying, please don't shoot me, Mr. Trump. Did y'all understand that? I did that in Ebonics. Folks, we live in a world of lies and subterfuge. Have you seen that CNN ad? It's a thing against fake news, and it has an apple, and it says something like, this is an apple. But no matter how much they tell you it's an orange, it's still an apple. And essentially, it's them trying to say that you're getting other news about them being fake news from other people, and you shouldn't believe it. It is, we are an apple. Believe it, we're an apple. And I find it interesting that they now, you can bet this is happening, folks. The news media has enlisted the support of Madison Avenue to say, how can we get rid of the idea that we're not fake news? I told you guys, Donald Trump is a bigger news source than any of them. If it weren't for him, the news engine of America would be down. We did a story about this the other day. Wall Street Journal, they're all up with Trump. We played a clip where the guy says, I don't know what they call it, like Trump bump. I think this is what they call it, Trump bump, where they know that when they do news on Donald Trump, they get a bump. So if it weren't for Donald Trump, these guys would be losing. They are losing money still, but they would be losing money worse than what they are. They need Trump. And he could easily, and does, routinely circumvent them. If Donald Trump doesn't tweet, there are people at these news bureaus that have nothing to do. They have nothing to do. And they don't analyze his tweets when he says, hey, check out the stock market, or hey, look at what's going on over here. They only tweet when it's Donald Trump. Oh, he just said such and such. They tweet for controversy. And this is what's interesting about it. That's what the person revealed at the New York Times. We're not looking for news. We're looking for stuff to hammer him on so we can get more ratings and news and all that. We don't even care. Lie, truth, doesn't matter. This is what the media has come to. It's pretty sad. And so now we've got the biggest story of our time, uranium one, and this whole thing, nothing being talked about. But we've got apologies, a lady by the name of Frederica Wilson who wants an apology for how the president is treating her with respect to her lies about him and the phone call that he made to a Gold Star wife, a Gold Star widow. She wants an apology. She demands it on behalf of her constituents, whom she's done so much for. Because what would those constituents have done without her? I mean, she's the one bringing home the bacon. She's the one doing all these things where black people feel represented. I would defy you. Show me where she's represented black people. She might, look, it's like me. I can help a few people here and there. We've done, between my organization, we've helped probably over 1,000 kids get their forever family. But I'll tell you this, what could I have done as a congressman for black people? I'd have them in better schools. I'd have them thinking differently about their neighborhoods. I would have neighborhoods rising. I would have business coming into their industry. The thoughts would be different. That's what I'd do.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Another hour of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. Glad you guys are with me. KJRadio.com. My book is Race Pimping. You can get it at racepimping.com. You're watching it. You're watching Frederica Wilson race pimp. You're watching the Democrats who still believe that racism is going to be the thing that sells the day. Hey, let's make Trump out to be a racist. People are going to get it. The black people are going to revolt because Donald Trump is dares to challenge Frederica Wilson's account of his phone call to a Gold Star widow. Black people are going to revolt. Yeah, like they did in November 8th of 2016, right? Black people revolted, but you know what they revolted against? The lies of the left. Oh, hallelujah. I'm going to preach to you today. The lies of the left. The lies that we should be letting people into this country illegally because it's better for our economy. The lies that we should be letting in Muslims into the country from radical nations. Why? Because it's better. It's going to make us safer. It's going to make us better. More people to tell what's going on with the bad Muslims. Oh, really? I like that logic. Speaking of Muslims, how about an Obama terrorism update? See, recently a Somali terrorist stabbed a Canadian police officer and ran over 4 pedestrians. Yeah. He entered the United States through the Mexican border, got caught, was released by Obama's Department of Homeland Security, and he continued his journey north to the great white north. I'm amazed at how many of these Somalis, these Yemeni, name whatever radical Islamic country from which they hail, and they never want to go to another Islamic country. It's so funny to watch. You would think they've got religion in common. They've got culture and all kinds of things in common. And you know what? They don't want to go. And of the 65.2 million people on the run, 99% of whom happen to be running from Islamic countries, they don't want to go to the safety of another Islamic country where they have culture and language and traditions and all kinds of things in common. They all want to come to the north, the great white north, or somewhere where the indigenous people are whiter than a fish belly. Why is that? So you got this Somali. Somalis are dark, man. They're Miles Davis black. Going up to the Great White North into Canada after he's been released by Obama's Department of Homeland Security. The ISIS operative, his name is Abdullahi Hassan Sharif, was arrested and deported. An Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE, spokeswoman told various media outlets he was released on an order of supervision, meaning we're supposed to keep our eye on him. And by the way, we know he's associated with ISIS, radical Islam. We're supposed to, number one, we're supposed to send him back, but we didn't. But if we didn't send him back, number two was we're supposed to watch him. And we didn't watch him. So he goes into Canada, the Great White North, and he stabs a Canadian police officer to death, and he runs over 4 pedestrians, and nobody blames Obama. We're talking about 4 people killed in Niger, right? We're talking about 4 folks killed over there who signed up for the military and put their lives in the way of, for us, for our protection. And nobody will say a word about the pedestrians that this Islamist released on Obama's watch hurt in Canada, or the cop that was killed. They won't say anything about any of the other enemy combatants that Barack Obama released who went back to fight. They won't talk about the people who were killed because of a lax immigration program in San Bernardino, or the ones killed in Boston by the Sarnoff brothers, and on and on. They won't talk about those tragedies. But you better believe they are going to try to milk Niger for all it's worth. And the only difference in any of these scenarios, the very difference for the left, is the fact that Donald Trump is president. If Barack Obama were president, Niger, call it whatever you want, would be just a tragic incident. A tragic military incident. And we would want, I'll tell you this, I want to know what happened and how these men got killed. I want to know so it doesn't get repeated. I want to know where we set up. I want to know for those reasons. I don't want to know because I want to hurt Donald Trump any more than I wanted to know what happened in Benghazi so it wouldn't be repeated again. I don't care if Hillary Clinton says, look, we screwed up, blah, 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 and it wasn't negligence on her part. If she didn't hold airplanes back or hold back troops that could have supported those men, those fighting men that held that consulate, kept it from being overrun, then no harm, no foul. But as they say in D.C., the cover-up's bigger than the crime. That's exactly what we have here. Now I want to know. I don't think there's a cover-up in Niger. I want to know, how do we protect our troops? And I bet you Donald Trump wants to know. But the left wants to make hay, because that's what they do. They like to make hay. Nothing's there, but who cares? And they will go back and still needle at you, because of jealousies or petty ideological losing battles that they fought, and they're mad. They're mad at Donald Trump. They're mad at you. And you want to know why? Because your stock market is through the roof. Unemployment is down. Consumer confidence is up. You're about to go into a Christmas season that is going to blow the doors off of people. I hate that it's not about Christ. It's about commercializing, but you're about to go into a Christmas season that's going to be the best in a decade. You're going to get unemployment is going to go even further down because people are going to be going like crazy, shopping and buying trinkets and what have you because they feel good. Businesses are going to invest, and this coming year, you're going to hit the ground. Watch the numbers, the unemployment numbers in January in February. They're gonna reset after the seasonal stuff ends. But you watch what happens, and that's why they hate you. They hate you because you made the right decision in picking the right leader for this country. And every day he proves you right and he proves them wrong. And I'm talking about viciously wrong. And they can't stand you for it because you're right. They're supposed to be smarter than you are. They're the intelligentsia. You're the plebe. You're supposed to just take what's given to you. But you did something different, and they hate you. When we come back, I want to talk about the king.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Fellow at the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics, national speaker, would love to come meet up with you guys. If I'm in a market and you hear my voice, go to kjradio.com. Let's figure out how to get me there. I want to meet you guys. I want to be face-to-face with you folks. Did a deal up in Oregon, and it's funny. People are, Kevin, we thought you'd be bigger than what you are. Why? Do I sound big? I sound big because I am big. I have a big heart. And I'll tell you something else. It's funny. I tell people this all the time. I'm not a huge guy. Yeah, I'm not. I've never been a big guy. I've been always fit, and I'm thick, right? And I'm strong as an ox. But the reason why people, I sense, I have a feeling about myself that I'm bigger, and it isn't any like Napoleon complex, but you have to be like 6'8", 350 pounds for me to go, oh yeah, that big guy. But if you're like 6'2", 220, I don't think of you as 240. I don't look at you as big. You're bigger than I am, but I look at you as like whatever. But if you're 6'8", 350, my mindset's going, yeah, I mean, I could take you down, but yeah, a guy that size, you got to give some respect to. He's got the hand the size of a plate. You know what I mean? But as a fighter, I don't look at people as huge or whatever. I just know I ain't worried about you. And so it's funny. People write to me, the one guy said, yeah, Kevin, I heard you came to town. This was up in Salem. And they said, you're the size of Kevin Hart. I'm bigger than Kevin Hart. But you know what? If somebody thinks I'm that size, cool. And people can see you the way that they have like a vision of what they think you look like. And so then they go, oh, I expected him to be like 6'2", 240. No, I'm not 6'2", 240, but I hit like it. So anyway, I love getting out. I love seeing people, shocking their minds, like whatever perception they have of me. But more importantly, getting the word out. We had a phenomenal time in Salem. We've had a phenomenal time. We did one of these in Texas. I don't know how many people were. There were I spoke to 5,000. Somebody said it was as high as 8,000 people. Whatever the number was, it was crazy. Then we went, signed books. I didn't even have enough books. It was crazy to have people coming up to me, Kevin, can I get your book? We were so underprepared for that event. It was ridiculous. And then one of my friends said, hey, let's go out and go get some, we got cocktails and smoked cigars, and we did man stuff at some cigar joint they hang out at. It was a great time. Love doing that. And as far as speaking goes, I'll just be blunt. When I speak, it's from the heart. It's one of the most entertaining speeches. I've backed up. I've gone in the year after Ted Cruz or Sarah Palin or Rand Paul or whomever, you name it, Limbaugh, and to a person they'll go, oh my gosh, this is the best one of these we've ever had. And I go, well, I appreciate that, especially the company I'm keeping. So I'm not bragging, but that's what people say. So I love getting out and doing that, especially with the radio stations. So if we can put something together through the station, great. If you just want to get me there because you want to help us out with fundraisers so we can get more kids adopted or help folks, man, do it. We love it. See, I talked earlier about this CNN video, fake news, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because I didn't do it justice. And then I want to get into some other stuff because Donald Trump's proposing tax cuts. He's got the new budget, which I don't know. I can't be excited about budgets with trillions of dollars in it, but I get it. And my hope is that we can start shrinking the budget while at the same time shrinking the debt. But I want to talk about this fake news video because I think it's interesting that CNN is fighting back. They by themselves are fighting back. And here's what they said. The Hill wrote this story. CNN appears to be taking a swipe at President Trump's attacks on the media with a new ad promoting, quote, facts first. The network debuted its new ad campaign in a Facebook post. The minimalist video shows an apple on a white background, accompanied by captions and a voiceover saying that while some may try to mislead viewers into thinking the fruit is a banana, it is in fact an apple. This is an apple, the voice says. Some might try to tell you it's a banana. They might scream, banana, 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 and over and over again. They put banana in all caps. You might even start to believe that it's a banana, but it's not. This is an apple. And I was thinking the whole time, number one, how racist is that for them to use a banana? I mean, what are they trying to say? Are they trying to say that people are like, black people want a banana versus an apple and we can't make a decision between it? What are they trying to tell? I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So there's that. And then the second part of it is that these guys are actually trying to make it, they're using the very tactics that Saul Alinsky and the Democrats have used for decades. That's racist. What? I don't like that the NFLers took a knee. That's racist because most of these players are black. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with nationalism, standing up for the flag, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't care who took a knee during it, whether the person was white, black, or orange, or indigenous. It doesn't matter. Pick your color. I don't like it because I think it's disrespectful to the veterans, the flag, the America, blah, blah, blah. No, that's racist. So if you didn't make the exact phone call to some veteran's widow and it didn't go exactly the way that somebody scripted, then the call is of racism, a call that presidents make all the time. They've made to many people of all different colors, and you are the first one where a black congresswoman is there, and suddenly he's now racist, a guy that doesn't like the military. He's going to make a call and disrespect a black Green Beret guy because he's got some vendetta against black people. But so is the apple a banana? I just found it interesting that that's the way these guys presented this. Then it goes on to say this. It says the final image is CNN's logo accompanied by the slogan, facts first. Now the article says Trump has continually referred to the negative coverage of his presidency as fake news, and earlier this month implied he would consider revoking the broadcasting licenses of networks who publish unflattering reports. Now that's what they want you to think, that Trump is after these guys because they've been unflattering. They've talked about his suits or his weight or his ears or his hair. But by the way, Barack Obama put a mandate on media. Don't talk about my ears. You cannot talk about my ears. And here's Donald Trump saying, no, this isn't about me. I don't care if you attack me. If you attack me on policy, that's no problem. When you blatantly lie, when you tell people this is what I said to a grieving widow, when you tell people about a policy position that I never said, that I've never taken, or you make up some story about Russians or you name it, then I take umbrage. Because That is not what the media is about. You want to report the truth, I'm all about it. You keep reporting your lies, and we need to take a look at you. We need to investigate what is your motivation. And we all know the answer to that, folks. The media is in the bag for the left, unquestionably. They said CNN refused earlier this year to run an ad for the Trump campaign in response to his attacks, and has responded directly to the president on Twitter after he slammed their ratings as being way down. CNN just posted its most watched second quarter in history, the network's communications department tweeted. Those are the facts. Well, you know what? You know what's driving the most watched in history? Not Barack Obama. Donald Trump. I'm not kidding you guys when I say I would love for Donald Trump to say, I'm only going to respond to Fox News or Kevin Jackson and the Black Sphere team on positions. That's where you'll have to go get your news. You watch how fast my news would grow in comparison to CNN. I'd grow from nobody into something pretty substantial. Anyway, we'll be back. Keep it here, folks.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I have to tell you, I'm sick of John McCain. John McCain is beyond repair. We've allowed this man to milk his service in the military for far more than it should be. Look, I get it. I haven't served in the military. I do a lot with them, but I haven't put myself in harm's way. But John McCain's not the only one who's done it. He's the guy, in my opinion, who's done a John Kerry. He's milked his service for all it's worth, and it's to the point now of embarrassment. He issued a veiled criticism of President Trump's medical deferment that kept him from serving in Vietnam. We did an interview on C-SPAN 3, and he lamented that the military, quote, drafted the lowest income level of American, and the highest income level found a doctor that would say they had a bone spur. Now, let me tell you what's going on with John McCain. First of all, he's a brain-dead moron. Literally. He's a brain-dead moron. Now that he's got brain cancer, we're like, oh my gosh, we can't say anything about him. Let me tell you, it bugs me that we have to leave hands off while this guy's out there with a Tourette's-like utterances. Oh, it's burn spur. Look, I don't know what Donald Trump did. Did he have bone spurs? Did he defer because of education? Did he defer because he had money and all that? Look, if he did, it was the sign of the times. People did it. I'm not trying I don't condone it. I'm not telling you it's a good thing, but we don't know what he did. But what we do know is a lot of people did do that. And oh, by the way, if you want to know why it's a good thing to work for money, it's because it gives you privileges. I know it's a dirty thing to think that money gives you privileges. Let me tell you what money does for you. For those of you who don't know, money allows you to buy goods and services that people without money can't get. It's that simple. Do I want it used so that one kid can get preferential treatment over another? The answer is no, but it happens every day in this country. What are we acting like it's something new? Let me tell you what money gets a rich kid versus a poor kid. It gets them into Harvard versus community college. It gets them started doing their own business versus having to go work for somebody else. Money is privilege. What are we trying to fool ourselves about here, people? McCain wants to make a distinction. My dad was an admiral, and I watched him go off to war, and then I went off to war, whatever. McCain was a miscreant. And the military was the only place he could go because he was a bad kid. He was a spoiled rich kid. And he probably had a choice. Go to the military or I cut you off. We don't know anything about this fool. Just telling you. But these guys who want to get out there and be all holier than thou, the majority of these people that talk about what they faced and all that, they couldn't. McCain's a hero. I'd love to see videotape of him crying like a baby, bent over on the casting couch of the Vietnamese. Oh, he's a hero. He didn't do it. Maybe he is, but maybe he isn't. Maybe John McCain has milked his heroism for as much as he can. I read his record, and I went, that's not the record of a hero. I read it. I dare you to read it. For those of you out there going, Kevin, we can't talk about our heroes. I mean, he's a veteran. Look, all veterans are not the same. I respect all of them for having signed up, but they're not all the same. Some of them live lives in quiet obscurity. They don't care. They've done more for this nation than John McCain could do in 50 lifetimes, and they don't say a word. I know one of them. He's a good friend of mine. I know more than one, believe it or not. Guys who've been in the crap and who've done things that saved this country, that truly altered the history of America. And John McCain's not one of them. John McCain was a leader who got shot down. He was the highest ranking guy in a POW camp. It could have easily been somebody else. And we aren't talking about him. And I guarantee you, the acts of heroism that were done in Vietnam, in terms of what John McCain did, are far exceeded by many others. But they don't run around bragging about it, touting it as, their badge of honor. They're happy to have done their part, and now they've gone away. John McCain wants to influence the election because of his petty jealousies. And quite honestly, how this man is still allowed to serve as a senator when we know his brain is being eaten away by a disease, a dreaded disease, and I certainly feel for him in that respect. But I'm not cutting him any more slack. One of Trump's 5 draft deferments was a result of a physician's letter stating he suffered from bone spurs in his feet. They had people that said you had flat feet. My brother almost couldn't get in the military because they said he had flat feet. That was a big deal at one point. I don't know why, but he got in. He served. Trump's presidential campaign described the issue as a temporary problem. You ever heard of bone spurs? I've had them. I had a bone spur in my back. Crap hurt, man. It was no fun. McCain, prisoner of war for 6 years, got shot down over Vietnam, and Trump said at the time, I don't like people who were captured. I like those who got away. And you could call it crass, but he'd already put up with enough from John McCain. And like everything Trump does, it has a way of circling back, and it makes you put it into the right perspective. That why are we treating John McCain as if he's an untouchable? John McCain has been a cancer to the body republic. He had an opportunity to do something on Obamacare, and what did he do? He backed out and he lied to the people that he represents. He lied to them to their face. This is a guy you want to call a hero? I don't call that a hero. You can call me what you want. Kevin, now I'm not going to listen to your program anymore. You're talking about veterans and all that. I love veterans. I shake the hand. If you're a veteran in a hat, God is my witness. I can be anywhere. I can be getting ready to get on a plane. I will make a beeline, go over, shake your hand, and say, thank you for your service, sir. I do it at the grocery store. I do it at church. I do it in public if it's at a fair. If I see you with a hat, I don't know if you're doing stolen valor. If it's a hat you borrowed from your grandfather, I don't know. But I go up. If you got that hat on, I shake your hand. You're at a restaurant, I wait for you to finish your meal. If I'm eating, I will get up, excuse myself from my table, and go get to you before you get out of the restaurant and shake your hand for your service. So don't act like I don't know what I'm talking about. I appreciate the veterans. And I plan on doing a hell of a lot more for them than the talk of John McCain. He said the other day he had a better working relationship with Obama's Defense Secretary Ash Carter than he does with the current administration. John McCain sees it as a matter of pride to tell you how much he's not working with Donald Trump, how much he doesn't want to work with the Trump administration. He looks for opportunities to hammer Donald Trump. Like this issue with this lady, this Gold Star mom, John McCain. Oh, I can't believe he'd do that to her, whatever. He automatically sides with her because he can't handle the fact that with his record, with his ego, he couldn't ascend to the position of a businessman. He spent his time doing that. That's what McCain was about. I'm the one who served, not him. I'm the one who's been in the Senate for all this time. I've been in the Senate. I served in the military. I got hurt. I can't even move my arms. Look here. I can barely move my arms. And look at what's happening here. He's now the president, and I'm a loser. Yeah, he's a loser. It's exactly what he is. He's a loser. Just amazes me. I watch these politicos. I watch them. John McCain is in the waning years of his life. I mean, he's 80 years old. I don't know how old he is. He's very old. And he's in the waning years of his life. He's got money to burn. He could burn $1,000 a day until the day he died and not even get close to the money. That he could burn $10,000 a day and would not get close to putting a dent in his wealth. And what does he choose to do? He chooses to stay in Congress. He wants to die in the chamber. There's nothing more for this man in the world than this. That should tell you a lot. Let me put it to you this way. You get diagnosed, you're working, and you're rich, and you got a wife that's 15, 20 years younger than you, who was a pretty nice looking lady, certainly in her day, and you can do whatever you want, and you get diagnosed with brain cancer, but you like working at Walmart as a greeter. But you go, you know what? I just found out I got brain cancer. Do you continue to be a greeter at Walmart? Trying to just give back a little? Or do you go, you know what? Life's pretty short. I think I'm going to get out of this job. I'm going to go do the things that I want to do. I'm going to go make sure that my finances and everything are in things that I want them to go to. And I'm going to put myself involved in causes that are meaningful. Now, if you say to me, well, Kevin, he sees the Senate as being meaningful, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I beg to tell you there are many things he could do that will directly impact people, not trying to beat up on the president every other day or every other comment that comes out of his mouth. And let me just tell you, the reason why I pose that question is the overwhelming majority of us would know we're out of here. We're going to do the things that matter, not this crap. Back in a bit.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
There is a fake media out there. I get treated very unfairly by the media, and I have a tremendous platform. I think I have 125 million people between Twitter and Instagram and all of them, and Facebook. I have a tremendous platform. So when somebody says something about me, I'm able to go bing, 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 and I take care of it. The other way, I'd never be able to get the word out.
Bing, bing, bing. Welcome back, everybody. It's funny. It's fun to watch the president do what he does. And prior to him becoming president, when Donald Trump was just Donald Trump, the billionaire mogul, it was fun to watch him tweet. And I know I've talked to people to this day. They still, Kevin, they are now going, you know what? The tweeting's important. But here's the next phase. Yeah, but now he tweets on a lot of things that seem inconsequential. And I go, I keep coming back. I go, I disagree. Inconsequential would have been the NFL, the kneelers. He could have easily let that go, but he didn't. And you know what it did? It drew people to the idea of what's happening in business in general. Not just the NFL, but what social justice warrioring is doing to business in general. He's straightening out the business community by doing that. I talk about that. How these things that seem inconsequential are big. They're not little. Harvey Weinstein. People, Kevin, why are you talking about Harvey Weinstein? I told her it's not inconsequential. It's huge. This is the type of thing that when somebody brings it to the attention, you have to understand the bigger implications around the war on women, how leftist men treat women, and all the things that they reflect back on us that really are the left's problems. If you can't see that, you're not a strategist, and you just need to get out of the game and let the big boys do what we do. Because these are huge things. Donald Trump tweeted about John McCain a year and a half ago, saying he's a hero who got caught, and you're giving him way too much credit. And that's essentially what he was saying. And now it's coming back. And guess who's going to lose? McCain's going to lose in this. McCain wants to criticize. He criticizes a guy who is in less than, didn't even take a month. He'd already done more than positive for the nation than Barack Obama could do in 2 lifetimes. And they're criticizing him. His own Republican Party. He criticized that. And I keep coming back to these. Okay, so the other one, he criticized this lady, Frederica Wilson. How many people dare challenge the Congressional Black Circus? How many? Did George Bush challenge him? No, he nuzzled up to him. He wants to be everybody's friend. Donald Trump's like, look, we're not racist. I'm not racist. This country's not racist. I'm not going to treat you like a special interest group. I'm going to treat you like the piece of crap that you are, Frederica Wilson, for daring to try to make hay from the death of a Green Beret. And the majority of America goes, I get it. The majority of America gets when Donald Trump says, I'm not believing your hype against the cops, you young black thuglites in the NFL. And I think you should stand for the anthem and not be making a spectacle of yourselves in the NFL. And he's right. What are you talking about? I know this man is right on that. So when he tweets, oh, Kevin, he tweeted on something really silly. Is it really silly? I want you to think about this. This is a man who, look, it's not about money, but it's about what you do with your time. This is a dude who's made himself into a billionaire. You don't do that without focus. You know where to put your energy. And he puts his energy in something, and the first thing that the people that don't even have 2 nickels to rub together do is go, I think it's a crazy thing he's doing now. I don't understand it. You're right. You don't understand it. You don't know what you don't know. So you come here and I give you some tough love and tell you, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's good for you just to sit something out because you don't know. The NFL tackling that is masterful. We're in week 7, and in week 7, another Sunday. Have you seen the empty stadiums around this country? Half empty stadiums. It's getting worse week after week. We started chronicling the stadiums. Did I say stations or stadiums? I meant stadiums if I said stations. Stadiums. We started chronicling them, a couple weeks ago, saying send us these stadium pics if you're going to the game. And people would send the pics and go, look at this, look at this, look at this. So it's not only the ratings dropping on TV, these stadiums are beginning to empty out. We posted something that it showed every athlete in week 7 who's done something, like raised his fist, took a knee, did whatever, goofed off on the sideline, didn't come out. We have a website, a web post dedicated to this week and who did what. And let me tell you, every week that they continue this nonsense, every week that Roger Goodell allows this to happen, the league gets weaker and weaker and weaker, to the point where I saw a story, I didn't read it, but it said Jerry Jones and other owners blame Anthem issue for, falling ratings. They finally are like, okay, this is hurting us. And I only saw the first bit, but I will presume that the next phase of it is Roger Goodell is going to have to address this. And it isn't going to be, we're going to let the NFL players decide what they want to do for themselves. The NBA took a stance and said, you're going to stand. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even care. I don't care what happens to these stooges. I personally would love to see them have to go back and make regular money. I want to see all these guys have to go get a regular job. I want to see them relive sports like the old days, where guys would come off the field at the end of the season. They'd say, shake hands, give out a trophy. Maybe they didn't even play the championship game because that just started, during the Lombardi era. They shook hands. That was the end, and they went back to work. They were like the founding fathers. They met. It cost them money. They did what they did, and they went back and hoped that the wife was able to keep the family farm working. This is back when we used to have lots of kids because we knew we needed people to work. And before the Democrats started bringing over slaves. So Trump is tackling an issue that week to week you get to watch it play out. See, that's the other thing. This is like a reality show. One of these, Big Brother or one of the island, somebody's off the island. And every week, Donald Trump he runs the show. And he gets to kick somebody off the island. And every week, the NFL loses a little bit more of itself. And by the end of this season, they won't even recognize themselves. And let me tell you something, folks. If you're smart enough to not watch the Super Bowl, you watch what happens to the NFL next year. But more importantly, watch what happens to business. See, businesses are watching the NFL. Companies like Target, Walmart, and all these bleeding heart liberal companies that have succumbed to leftism for decades. They're watching this. And they're going, how's this going to shake out? And every week you watch them, they're going, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Here's something interesting about the NFL. A guy on CBS wrote a piece, and he says it's not just Donald Trump's attack of the NFL and the anthem. He says it's the product. He says the NFL is giving an inferior product. Well, I want you to think about the NFL and its manufacturing process, okay? The NFL for years was mostly white. And then it slowly became infused with blacks. And now the NFL is 70% black. And you know what the guy said at CBS? It's an inferior product. Isn't that racist? You know why the NFL is an inferior product? It isn't because these athletes aren't better. The athletes jump higher, run faster, and are stronger than any of their predecessors. From years ago, when the field was dominated with white boys with these helmets on that had no face mask. The product has gotten certainly better product. The raw materials are much better in the product now. Wouldn't you agree? I think you would. So if the raw material is better, why isn't it a better product? It's because the raw material is flawed. As good as it is, it's flawed. And we're now beginning to see it. See, we're seeing the social media, the social justice impact, not social media, but maybe to a degree, but the social justice impact on sports. Bunch of big babies. They got more protection than any white dude ever before him in the past. You watch those old black and white films, go look at them. These guys got shoulder pads the size of they look like gorillas wearing these things. They can't hit in certain ways anymore and yada, yada. No crackbacks, no this. You can't drag the person down by the face mask, this, which I don't disagree with. Many of the things they've done, I don't disagree with. But many of the things they've done, they've ruined the sport. And the biggest way they've ruined the sport is they've allowed the product to now say, we're going to dictate how this sport goes. We're going to, determine when we take a knee and what we stand for. And that's what's ruining this sport.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you guys are with me. I'm proud to be with you. And let me tell you, this story is going to validate much of what I tell you all the time, which is black people see racism. Black leftists see racism in everything. The NFL kneelers, racism, when Donald Trump calls out, you should stand for the anthem. He didn't say black people, white people, brown people. He said you should stand for the anthem. There's no way to read racism into that. But they made it racist. Donald Trump calls a woman whose husband died a Gold Star wife. It's racist. He didn't say the things he was supposed to say the way he was supposed to say them. Interpreted racism. I talk about this on TV all the time. The left wants you to believe that everything that happens in this country, thanks for that adjustment, guys. Everything that happens in this country that doesn't go black people's ways is because of racism. And I got a story for you. A Cleveland, Ohio grandmother was shocked to discover a racial slur written on her granddaughter's birthday cake. Now, you're going to say, oh, here we go. Baker, he was a racist. He was an Aryan nation, and she wanted her cake baked by an Aryan nation. No. This is Cleveland, Ohio, folks. There's more black people in Cleveland than there are white folks. Renelle Tucker said she ordered 2 cakes over the phone from a local supermarket. One was delivered as it was ordered. The second cake, however, misspelled the name of her 6-year-old granddaughter, and instead of putting Lamia, M-I-Y-A, it read La Niga, N-I-G-A. Now, I saw the note. If you go to the website, you can see it as well. And it looks like La, but it doesn't look like it. It could be an M or an N. It's an I. It looks like a Y, but it does look like it went too far to close it like a G, and then it has A. It looked like La Niga. It is easy to understand how a person who took that note and then made the cake and put La Niga, N-I-G-A, on it was an honest mistake. I promise you, if you see it, you'll go, I can see that happening. There was no conspiracy. Ooh, I don't like black people. I'm going to get this little girl. I'll take care of it. It's a 6-year-old's cake. I mean, if you are going to be mean-spirited, don't go after the 6-year-old, pick on somebody else. There was no ill intent, no malice, nothing. All it was somebody who decided to take a very innocent mistake and make it into more than what it is. And if that, folks, is not a metaphor for the world we live in today, where leftists will take anything you do, you say, they'll take it out of context, and they want to make it racial. I don't know what is. Everything is. Don't be surprised if this Harvey Weinstein thing ends up spinning back on a hatred of black women. Not women. Only one black woman that I've seen that has come out in these 30 plus and the more that are out there. There's only one that I've heard speak up. She's an African girl. But let me ask, do you think it's happened to other black women? Yeah. Do you think Trump did it? I mean, he's in Hollywood grabbing women by the... So did he do it? No. I'm still waiting on Hollywood to fess up. Anyway, back to this grandma. So the grandmother says, I was very upset and angry. It felt like racism to me, because how do you get one cake wrong and one cake right? You had to notice the mistake, the girl's mother, Ashley Hayes, said. Hey, Ashley Hayes, mother of the girl, maybe one person baked one cake and the other one took the note and made it. Maybe that was it. Maybe they were guessing on both cakes and they went, well, we'll make one like this and one like that. I don't know. But I don't think it was intentional. Lamia's mother said she noticed a slur as she was taking pictures at the party. And she said this, all the other kids knew the words and they were like, ooh, they put that on her cake. She said, we were all in shock. Let me tell you something, black people, if you are in shock because you use crazy names to name your kids, Lamia, big L, little a, big M, little I-Y-A, Lamia. What's it mean? I don't know. Look, I'm not telling people, name your kids whatever you want. Call them Bushhead, call them Mop. I don't care, but don't be surprised if people don't know how to spell it. My name is Deshaun Daquan. How do you spell Deshaun? Capital D-E, capital H-S, capital S-H. Try to spell some of these kids' names. Go look at the average black kid's name in an urban school and then tell me you know how to spell. You can make a cake when somebody gives you their name. My name is Laquan J. How you spell that, Laquan J? And I don't know what this fascination is with la. Because la is a female article in most languages. In French, la is for women. In Spanish, la is for women. In Italian, la is for women. The guys use la, Laquan, Laquanje, Laquan, la. Anyway, so everybody's upset, in shock over the cake. But they said it got worse. It was no mistake that an M they put in an N and a G and a Y. It's no mistaking. It really upset me, Hayes said. This is the mother of the baby. The manager of Dave's Supermarket, Bert Saltzman, said the spelling was an honest mistake. If you look at this M, could have been an N, and the Y could have been an N. It wasn't. He was saying it could have been a G. The girl had a bunch of cakes that day, he said. Anyway, he apologized to the family, and they said they're satisfied with how it turned out. But I'm not. I'm not satisfied with how it turned out because everybody in the scheme of this knows this was an honest mistake. There was nobody there who was intentionally going after this little girl or her family. The guy makes cakes for a living. He wants people to be satisfied. Why would he do this to himself? But now we got a story. We got the Cleveland newspaper, TV showing up to do a whole expose on this, folks. This is the state of this country right now. And the left tell you they're not divisive. They're multicultural and inclusive.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You know what I like about President Trump and all the things that are going around? They all are circling back on the left. But regardless, even if Harvey Weinstein wasn't pointing the finger at feminism and leftism and how the two are intertwined, and the war on women that's happening right now amongst leftist men. It's been going on for decades, and they've been looking for somebody to blame, a boogeyman on our side. What's it done? It's spun back around on them. Illegals, spun back around on them. Muslim terrorists, spun back around on them. The NFL, spun back around on them. I could go on. What I love about the guy is, with all this stuff going on, he can tweet, it finds its own universe, spins back around on the left, and meanwhile, he continues to knock it out of the park. Tax bill. They were, Obamacare failed. It's not doing it. You know what he said? I'm going to just let it fail. I'm going to pass an executive order, says no more money, blah, bling, blah, boom. Next thing you know, Obamacare is failing. They got to start taking a look at it. They will take a serious look at it, and you're going to get an overhaul to your health care that you actually like. Is it going to be perfect? No. It's still government. Come on. But it'll be good. It'll be as good as what you had, if not better. And he's already done that by saying you can now buy health care over state lines, etc. So now if you want to be a part of Obamacare, you could go, I'm calling Wichita, Kansas, and I want to talk about your health care plan. Okay, great. You can go get a health care plan anywhere you want right now, and the subsidies are gone. Did you look at the amount of money that was made in these subsidies? The president himself read off how much profit these insurance companies made. And I told you guys, I'm not mad at the insurance companies. They were planning for catastrophic illnesses that Obamacare covers. That, oh, by the way, everybody warned, you don't have to have that much preparation for catastrophic illnesses because they're catastrophic for a reason. They don't happen very often. Most people do not die of some rare form of cancer. Most people do not die from some experimental thing that's occurring. So if you want to get that extra insurance, you're free to get it. But the public shouldn't be paying for it. And the insurance companies don't know how do you know what to plan for? I mean, they got the numbers, they could run it. And of course, they're going to run it in their favor. What did they think was going to happen? So these guys got richer. And I can't blame them necessarily. I blame them to a little degree. But anyway, the point of all of this is that it doesn't matter what Donald Trump decides he's going to tackle. He will tackle it and he will defeat it. He will make a dent in it. Whether it's the stock market and stopping this quantitative easing and giving you a legitimate market, he's done it. Whether it's businesses that have money trapped offshore, he's already planning on how to get that back. These guys are already counting that money in their next budgets. I can tell you this because I talked to enough CEOs to tell you they are exuberant. They're optimistic about what's going to happen. They believe that their businesses will be able to function for the next 8 years without the liberalism that's been creeping in, the leftism, the political correctness that they've been under. They now know, hey, we don't have to worry about transgender bathrooms. We don't have to worry about the LGBT movement infiltrating this or some union crapola that's going to impact business. We just want to do business. We're a clothing manufacturer. Can we just make clothes? Or do we have to, well, your clothes must be made by a certain percentage of women and blacks and Guatemalan midgets. Why? Why can't I just make clothes? Somebody explain this to me. Well, you have to understand, we want to make sure that it's all fair for everybody. Then, you know what? Then let some black dude come have my headaches for starting a business and putting it together and not taking a paycheck for 2 years. Let him or her do that, and then we can talk about fairness. Did they save money? Did they go to college in order to do this? Did they chase a passion? What, are they incapable? Damon, what's his face? The dude on Shark Tank, he did it. He's on there every week. I don't know if he's affirmative action or what, but he's on there all the time. Can they not learn from him? Can they not learn from Oprah? Can they not learn from LeBron? Can they not learn from whomever? Bob Johnson of BET? There's a lot of people to learn from. They're always, trying to find somebody to blame about something, and it's always the person working the hardest that they blame. Aren't you sick of that, America? You get up and go do your job. You don't look for any excuses. The alarm clock goes off. To be honest with you, do you need an alarm clock at this age? You pop up out of bed, you know exactly what to do. You make the coffee, you take the dog out, take a dump, pick up the stool or whatever, maybe wait till you get home. And you come back, you go do your job. Whether you carpool, you take your own car, whatever. You get there, you put it all into it. And you know what you do? You look for ways to innovate and to make your company better. And if the company ignores you, then you know what you do? You get out of there. You say, I'll innovate on my own. I'll come sell my product or my service back to you. And that's what you do. And what happened to that? We are so innovative, man. Black folks, it cracks me up how innovative we are. Can fix anything. It's like they call it redneck rigging, like, that's how a redneck fixes it. You might laugh at how rednecks fix things, but sometimes it works pretty doggone good. And black people are just as inventive. Southern boys, most of us. Look, my grandfather would take baling wire, chicken wire, and duct tape, a rubber band, and some gum, and he could fix practically anything. What happened to that ingenuity? Anyway, Donald Trump's working on tax breaks now. Good for him. He's finally saying, you know what? We got to overhaul this tax system. And I'm going to ask you something, folks. This is the first. Do you think that we've had real discussions of tax? I was about to give it away. I was about to not ask you a question and give you the answer. I'm not even going to ask the question. Forget I asked you the question. The fact of the matter is this. Donald Trump is giving us the first real discussion of taxes where you actually say to yourself, we might actually be able to change tax policy. We may be able to get something done. Simplify the tax code. We've had what do they call them? Fair tax, flat tax, sales tax, all kinds of tax systems that people have proposed. People get ignored over it. Donald Trump says, we're revamping the tax system. And you know what? You're going, we may very well revamp the tax system. Holy cow. Yeah, we might. Donald Trump knows this tax system is unfair. And he's saying, look, I don't mind taxing the super rich. And I'll be honest with you. If I were a member among the super rich and the tax rate went to 35%, whatever, at the point where you're able to make money, money has its own universe, its own weather system, tax me. I'll figure out a way out. I'll use the taxes as a way to get my breaks. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Trump's going to take away their ability to do that. Fine. If you've got $100 million, I don't know what the number is going to be. It needs to be well over $1 million. Because let me tell you, $1 million, you can't survive in this country. But my point is, he's addressing it. The same way he addressed Obamacare that was intended to not be able to be dismantled, and it's being dismantled. The same way he looked at trade and said, you know what? It's a system that stinks. We're going to dismantle it. The same way he looked at the Iran nuclear deal and said, we're going to dismantle it. The same way he looked at climate change and said, we're going to dismantle it. Let's call him the dismantler.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So we're always comparing and contrasting things, and we compare and contrast Barack Obama to Donald Trump. It's an easy compare and contrast. Barack Obama stepped up. When he moved into the White House, it was a huge step up for him. Wherever he lived in Hyde Park or whatever the area of Chicago, it didn't matter. The White House represented something grandiose, an achievement he could never have, and so on and so forth. I'm talking about financially and otherwise. And you could look at the presidency in and of itself as something to behold, but Barack Obama's a professional politician, and he loved the campaign, a professional campaigner, probably second only to Bill Clinton in terms of his ability to make the impossible happen. And with Barack Obama, he needed a whole lot of other help. He needed the backdrop of Jackie Robinson in the first. Bill Clinton just he had the campaign because this dude was fighting himself most of the time. So I would rate Bill Clinton a better campaigner than Barack Obama. Barack Obama caught the whirlwind of firstness, right? And he rode it in. And he rode it out just as badly. But it's easy comparisons. Donald Trump took a financial step down, a huge financial step down to become president. Now you could say he took a step up because he's now leader of the free world versus just being leader of a very global world that he built for himself. So a slight step up from being a billionaire business mogul to being president of the United States. I'll give him it's a step up, but not anywhere near from being a failed community organizer and that step up. But what about the step up otherwise? The step up for the first ladies. Michelle Obama had done nothing with her life. She's ridden the coattails of her husband, collected money from a hospital, sat on the board of a hospital making $350,000 a year to do nothing, to reject poor people from the hospital, to run cover for them as they didn't have to follow the rules of other hospitals because, and only because, her husband was a senator. That's the reason why she sat on that board. So I could give you lots of information in terms of what it was that she did in her life, but it is a huge step up to become from being the wife of a senator, a junior senator at that. He wasn't even a big deal in the Senate, to becoming president of the United States and everybody knowing that you're wholly unqualified. So what was she? If he was wholly unqualified to be president, she was wholly unqualified to be first lady. And what did Michelle Obama do? She flaunted it. First time in her adult life, she was proud of the country because they had elected her husband as president, knowing how incompetent he was. But she was proud of that. You overlooked that. Congratulations, America. You were willing to forgive his incompetence, and you were willing to do so because of his color. See, that's the thing that made her most proud. You can overlook his accomplishments or lack thereof and apply the affirmative action that was necessary to make him the president of the United States and her to be first lady of the United States because she was wholly unqualified. You can say, well, Kevin, she had the intellect. Okay, fine. If you want to believe that, that's cool. I don't disagree with you necessarily. It's pretty easy job. Did she have the class? It's debatable. Some people say she did. Some people say she didn't. I'll put it to you this way. There was nothing. Michelle Obama was groomed to be a junior senator's wife. I don't think she was ready to be first lady. That's my opinion. She was no Jackie O. I don't think she knew where all the dishes went, on the table. But she was it. And she came in and she, I didn't see anything wardrobe-wise. I used to ridicule her wardrobe. I thought, does she really understand that she's in the public eye day in and day out? Come on, Michelle, you can do better than this. Anyway, Melania Trump comes in, and I will tell you, of the first ladies, there's nobody more qualified to be a first lady than Melania Trump. She was the wife of a billionaire. I don't care how much money other people had. Trump's been the wealthiest president, I believe, and his wife knows class. And Donald Trump knew he had to make sure that she was classy. And he hit a home run. Michelle Obama spent more than $1 million a year on personal aids. Maybe that's what it takes to keep somebody like her operational. Makeup and wardrobe alone. You needed Oprah staff for that. That's a slam. Oh, Kevin, you're slamming the previous first lady. I'm not slamming anybody. I'm telling you, Michelle Obama's not a naturally gifted lady when it comes to the looks and the style. She's not. She walks like a dude. She's tall and gangly. She's not overly attractive, and we can agree to disagree on that. That's okay. But there's nothing there's nothing striking about Michelle Obama. They put her in makeup at times, and she can come off as appealing if she doesn't open her mouth. I don't mean in terms of speech. She doesn't have a pretty smile. Her teeth are a little, I don't know. There's nothing she does for me. And I'll admit it, it's just a personal preference. Melania is a beautiful woman. I don't care by whatever standards. Maybe there's some pygmy tribe in Africa that likes, doesn't like pasty white women or whatever. Put whatever description you need to make her ugly. But in most cultures, she's considered a dish. Anyway, the new first lady, the billionaire's wife, found Michelle Obama's budget overkill, and Melania Trump brought fiscal responsibility back to the first lady's office, if you will. Does she have an office? I guess she does. But she slashed Michelle's budget by more than half. Like her husband, she runs a tight ship. She knows that the budget that is set for her and her staff comes from the taxpayers. She's not going to squander this money, which is what Michelle Obama did. Michelle Obama had 16 personal aides. Her staff totaled 24 employees. Obama even had an employee who had the title travel aide. Now, what exactly does a travel aide do? I picture some big black hunk who keeps his mouth shut and whose shift begins at night, if you know what I mean. But why not? Her husband traveled with Reggie Love, a man described as Barack Obama's, quote, body man. Love was also called affectionately his chief of stuff. I thought that was kind of funny. We do know that Reggie Love was paid, but I don't know how much he was paid. But I do know this. Michelle Obama's staffers cost $1.24 million a year. Now, for perspective, understand that America's new First Lady has 4 personal aides and a staff that totals a lot fewer than Michelle Obama. In fact, Melania Trump's staff totals 9 versus 24. Her staff costs less than $500,000 a year. Now, they also say that it's a nicer environment with Melania. I'm not going to argue. I don't know. But they say she's a much nicer person than Michelle Obama, who they called the Queen of Mean. Angry tantrums had staffers hiding from her at times. Same type of thing we heard about Hillary Clinton. So people were quick to criticize Melania, saying she doesn't have a background in politics. Like, that's bad. What exactly were you supposed to have? What first lady do you know had a background in politics? Hillary Clinton didn't. Hillary Clinton was a housewife who was a disgraced attorney. Who? Jackie O wasn't in political. She was just stylish. Name me. I mean, I'm not saying that there weren't some, but the majority of them did. It wasn't like that's a prerequisite for you to be first lady. Well, your wife has to be in politics. They said the same thing about Melania's husband, didn't they? The new president, President Trump, the unlikely president. How refreshing it is, people, to have a first lady who hasn't seen years of lying as her husband leapfrogged from one political lily pad to the next. Melania Trump married a frugal billionaire. She understands the pomp and circumstance of her position. She's got to throw the parties. She understands that. She's undoubtedly the most qualified first lady ever. This woman has seen parties and extravaganzas like you wouldn't believe. She's worked with her own personal staff for years. But the left, they canonize Michelle Obama, the woman who still considers America to be racist and sexist. And what of her actual policies? Michelle Obama was over the food lunch program, had more food thrown away. You could have fed African nations with the amount of food that was thrown away after that woman. But they cheered it. Childhood obesity program accomplished nothing tangible. Kids were so happy to see that in, and so happy to see Michelle Obama gone, they couldn't see straight. But what's the first lady tackling? The new one? Something that has bipartisan support. Opioid addiction. She hosted a roundtable forum regarding opioid addiction and the crisis in this country related to that. Far more people involved with this and how it's destroying families than food, school lunches. But they treat her like she's a pariah. The left, you should be ashamed of yourselves, really and truly. What a beautiful first lady we have.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. So it took 5 days for one of the major networks to finally start covering the Uranium One, the deal where Hillary Clinton and ties all these people to the Russian uranium story. During Sunday's Face the Nation, the moderator's name is John Dickerson, for those of you who probably don't watch the show anymore. I don't. And he was the first member of the Big Three, ABC, CBS, and NBC, to essentially break the blackout of this story of the Clinton uranium scandal. And the segment brought the total coverage time of the scandal to 69 seconds. Dickerson brought this scandal up during an interview with Oklahoma Republican Senator James Lankford. And after prefacing that the Senate Intelligence Committee, which Lankford sits on, could choose to review the FBI's findings or investigate the accusations themselves, he asked the senator, "You're looking into the Russian influence in the election. There have been reports this week about Russian efforts to try to influence the Obama administration and try to influence perhaps Hillary Clinton through donations to the Clinton Foundation with respect to the purchase of uranium. Is that something the Intelligence Committee should look at, that you're interested in looking at?" And then the senator answers, and that's it. One of the biggest scandals out there, that's what they dedicate to it. And part of it is that they don't have to. Their audience is not looking for negative information on Hillary Clinton, even if it's true, or Barack Obama. They don't want to know. They want to put their heads in the sand and go, no, we're good. We're good. That's what they want to do. And that's what they have been doing. Now, you, as a consumer of truth, you say, no, I want to know what's going on. But the left goes, no. Hey, we have another distraction. Niger. We have another distraction. We have this stupid lady named Frederica Wilson, congresswoman, who says she deserves some respect. While meanwhile, the Congressional Black Congress, or Congressional Black Caucus, which I call a circus, they won't even respect the president by having a meeting with him. It'll look bad to their constituents if they're seeing kowtowing to the white man. Now, they've kowtowed to the white man before. They've met with George Bush. They've met with Reagan and many others since 1969 or 71, depending on the dates you believe is their founding. So they will go meet with white guys, but they won't want to meet with Trump. Yeah. You want to know why they want to meet with Trump? This is so funny. Because Trump beat their lady so bad, beat Hillary Clinton, the person that they had to have in order to continue their shenanigans. This defeat of the left hurt more than anything they could possibly come up with. This is and by the way, same is true of the Republicans, because Donald Trump's not a politician. So now we get black angst. See, what the Congressional Black Circus and other leftists won't tell you is they have to have a protected class. And blacks are it for now. And therefore, they can have no criticism. You criticize somebody black, you're racist. So Donald Trump is now attacking Frederica Wilson. Forget that Frederica Wilson's a liar. And she's using the death of a Green Beret in order to feather her own nest, or to put some feathers in those fedoras that she wears, those crazy country hats, which, by the way, are cultural appropriation from white countries, right? Country boys or country girls, certainly country girls, right? I don't think any white country dude would wear those hats, but it's cultural appropriation. I mean, I'd like to see cowboys wearing dreadlocks as payback. Maybe you would too. Anyway, you've got this battle royale brewing between us and them. It's been going on for decades, but we're finally on the winning side of it, and now the left has to go after us in some sort of way. So it's all back to racism. Look at the retreads of these discussions and these arguments, folks. There's nothing new here. And as I said in the previous segment, you got to love Donald Trump for staying, I wouldn't say he's staying above the fray, but he continues to get things done in spite of the noise. And you know what it's from? It's from the ability to focus. And not only does he have the ability to focus, he has the ability to get the left, as we say in the vernacular, on tilt by doing one simple thing. He'll tweet one little message and they go, oh my gosh, look at him. He's a racist, misogynist, homophobic, xenophobic. He's all that, right? They throw it all at him. Pickles, don't hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. They hold nothing back when it comes to Donald Trump. But see, it's all spiraling back in on him. I talked the other day about feminism. Feminism decimating the black community. And who's the biggest feminist on the planet now? Is it Donald Trump? Oh, the left would like you to think that. But no, it's Harvey Weinstein. But it's worse than that, because Harvey's representative of the metaphor of the attack on feminism, the attack on women, the true war on women that wages every day in places like Hollywood or anywhere leftists flourish. Look at any city, look at any town. They'll give you a couple of token women, but they will not let you have those women be fully in charge. They have to be able to get theirs from them. I'm talking about the guys, the leftist men, the guys who really run this, broken world, one world order. There are no women running that. Feminism has crushed the black community. Black women are the least married group in America. 72% of children raised by single mothers. White feminists grew up eventually married. Most of them started shaving their legs and underarms. They embraced their newfound lives and happily included their men as their black sisterin were left behind. And that's what Harvey Weinstein's exposing. He's exposing that fully. That's what's behind Harvey Weinstein. They don't want to tell you that. Eddie Bernice Johnson talked about it. I don't know if she's going to take any heat because she's a black Republican. She's a black Democrat. She's an older black lady who can say these things, and they'll chalk it up to, oh, well, we'll dismiss her. It's like Joe Biden. Joe Biden would say things, and you're like, there's kind of a modicum of truth in there, but he could get away with it. But you say it. Joe Biden would go into a 7-Eleven talking about, you Pakistanis, this is where you work. This is your job. This is what you do in America. And people just, come on, that's Joe. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had anything close to that kind of a saying, what they'd be saying about that man? Man. Johnson deserved a pass. Eddie Bernice deserved a pass on her statement where she said women need to be held accountable for their actions. What did you just say, Eddie Bernice? Women need to be held accountable? Hey, here's another one for you. Black folks need to be held accountable. Leftists need to be held accountable. Millennials need to be held accountable. Because you know what, folks? The world works like this. You need to be held accountable for what you do. Who else is it? I was talking to some guy the other day. We've got conceal and carry. I've lived in Texas, live in Arizona, and not conceal, open carry in Arizona. You can openly carry. You know why I love it? Because what a dude that's openly carrying is telling you is, I'll handle my business. I'm not waiting on no cop breaking my house. My neighbor's he's a highway patrol. Saw his German Shepherd out. Very well behaved dog. Didn't know what he did, by the way, my neighbor. But he had his dog out, and he's putting the dog in his truck, and the dog is completely, he'll give a little look around, but he's very attentive to his master. It says in the truck, he gave him some commands. Dog gets in the truck. He's got a mat for him that he sits on. So one day we're having a conversation. He said, yeah, I'm highway patrol. So I was like, oh, cool. He said, knew you were law enforcement just by your demeanor. And I said, I could also tell because of that dog. How well behaved that dog was. Well, you know what? You are conservatives. People can tell you They can spot you in a crowd. They can spot you at events. They can spot you. You know how they spot you? They spot you by the way you carry yourself, and they spot you by your children. They spot you by your neighborhood. You tell them where you live, they go, oh, nice neighborhood. Car not up on blocks. You're not driving down the road with everybody listening to your music. They can spot you because you are the salt of the earth here. But look at these guys. Nothing but troublemakers. Everywhere they go, they create trouble. They cut deals with Russians and accuse you of doing it. They accuse you of racism as they're the most racist people on the planet. They accuse you of sexism. Look at Harvey Weinstein and what he proves about them. You need to sleep well at night. Sleep in the bosom of mama. I mean, just every time you lay your head down, knowing that you are a God-fearing Christian, Bible-thumping, pro-American, pro-Second Amendment, pro-First Amendment, you name it, pro-Constitution American. I love you all. Accountability. That's what we're about. The left, they hate that about us.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.